From the sunburnt coasts of Australia to the emerald fairways of Augusta National, Adam Scott's journey has been one of elegance, perseverance, and quiet redemption. A man of few words but immense poise, Scott's career has been a long, graceful arc, marked not just by victories, but by the dignity with which he's handled everything in between. Born on July 16, 1980, in Adelaide, South Australia, Adam Derek Scott was raised with both a love for sport and a natural gift for it. His family moved to Queensland when he was a child, settling in the Gold Coast, where Adam took up golf seriously. With his long, lean frame and mechanically sound swing, it didn't take long for observers to recognize something special. Even in his early teens, his fluid motion and tempo stood out. He made the game look simple, even then. By the late 1990s, Scott had become one of the top amateurs in the world. After briefly attending the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, to hone his skills and education, he turned professional in 2000. Success came quickly. Just a year later, he won the Alfred Dunhill Championship on the European Tour, a victory that signaled the arrival of a player with global potential. Adam Scott's early years on tour were defined by rapid progress. He broke into the top 10 in the official world golf ranking by the age of 24, won multiple titles on both the PGA and European tours, and was often compared to Tiger Woods, due in part to their shared coach, Butch Harmon, and to the uncanny similarity in their swings. His victory at the 2004 Players' Championship, often dubbed the fifth major, was the biggest triumph of his young career. He was just 23, the youngest ever to win that event at the time. Everything about his game, his rhythmic swing, ice-cool temperament, and classic ball striking, suggested that it wasn't a matter of if he'd win a major, but when. But golf has a way of humbling even its most gifted artists. For all his promise, Scott struggled to close out the biggest tournaments. Time after time, he found himself in contention on Sunday at a major, only to watch someone else hoist the trophy. The most painful of these came at the 2012 Open Championship at Royal Lytham and St. Annis. Scott played brilliantly all week and held a 4-shot lead with 4 holes to play. Then, the unthinkable, 4 consecutive bogeys, and the title slipped through his fingers. He watched Ernie Els win instead. That loss could have broken a lesser player. And for a time, it looked like it might. But Scott didn't let it. He returned stronger, more determined, and more focused than ever. His response came less than a year later, on a stage even grander, and with even higher stakes. It was the 2013 Masters tournament that changed everything. Scott entered Augusta National that year carrying both the scars of Royal Lytham and the hopes of an entire nation. No Australian had ever won the Masters. Legends like Greg Norman had come agonizingly close but never finished the job. Now, it was Adam's turn. The final round was a thriller. On the 72nd hole, with rain falling and the light fading, Scott drained a 20-foot birdie putt and let out an uncharacteristic roar. "Come on, Aussie!" It looked like the winning moment, until Angel Cabrera, playing in the final group, responded with a birdie of his own to force a playoff. In sudden death, Scott held his nerve. On the second playoff hole, the 10th at Augusta, he rolled in another clutch birdie putt to seal the victory. The moment was electric. Scott threw both arms into the air, his caddy Steve Williams rushed him in celebration, and all of Australia finally exhaled. After decades of heartbreak at Augusta, they had their champion. The image of Scott in the green jacket, soaked in rain and emotion, remains one of the most iconic in modern golf. That Masters win was more than a breakthrough, it was a catharsis. For Scott, it validated a career that had so often danced with greatness but hadn't yet embraced it. And for Australia, it was the realization of a national dream. Greg Norman, the man whose own Augusta heartbreak had defined a generation, called Scott's win one of the proudest moments in Australian golf history. In the years that followed, Scott remained a force. He reached world number 1 in 2014, becoming only the second Australian after Norman to hold the top spot. He continued winning prestigious events, including the WGC Cadillac Championship and the Honda Classic, showcasing that even in his 30s, his best golf wasn't behind him. Throughout his career, Scott has been a model of professionalism and class. He's never been the loudest personality or the most media-friendly figure, but within the sport, he commands immense respect. His peers often point to his swing as the most technically pure on tour. Coaches use his mechanics as a template. Fans admire his elegance and grace. And young players look to him as a quiet example of how to succeed with dignity. Scott's putting, once considered his Achilles heel, was a source of constant scrutiny, especially after the anchoring ban outlawed the broomstick-style method he had used to great effect. But in true Adam Scott fashion, he worked around it. He didn't complain. He didn't retreat. He adapted. It's one of the underappreciated parts of his career, how often he's quietly adjusted his game to remain competitive across different eras and equipment rules. Off the course, Scott is known for his low-key lifestyle. He avoids the limelight, spends time with his wife Marie and their children, and continues to represent his home country with pride. He's a proud ambassador of Australian golf, often choosing to return for national events and nurturing the next generation of players. In an age of social media stardom and constant content, Scott's reserved nature has made him something of an old soul, a refreshing contrast that reminds fans of the sport's more traditional values. As of 2025, Adam Scott remains one of the most respected and admired players in the game. Though he's now in the latter stages of his career, he continues to compete with intensity, and every tournament he enters is met with whispers of, "Could this be the week?" That's the kind of presence he commands, not just because of past glories, but because of his enduring class and capability. More than 30 professional wins, a Masters title, a stint at world number 1, countless Sundays in contention. But Adam Scott's legacy isn't only about trophies. It's about style, resilience, and substance. He's the kind of player who never had to yell to be heard, who never needed antics to be remembered. He let the purity of his swing, the rhythm of his walk, and the grace with which he handled success and failure speak for themselves. In the story of modern golf, Adam Scott is the elegant bridge between eras, a player who honored the traditions of the game while quietly shaping its future. He carried the burden of expectations, endured the heartbreak of near misses, and emerged not just a champion, but a symbol of perseverance. His 2013 Masters win was the defining moment, but it's everything before and after that defines the man. So as he walks the fairways in what may be his final competitive years, the respect he receives isn't just for what he's won, it's for who he is. For how he's carried himself. For the inspiration he's given to the game's purists and its dreamers alike. Adam Scott's story reminds us that in a sport built on inches and nerves, the greatest victory of all may be remaining true to yourself. He didn't just chase a green jacket. He earned it the hard way. And in doing so, he gave the game one of its most beautiful, enduring chapters. Thank you for following the journey. For every fan who believed in quiet greatness, for every aspiring golfer who models their swing after his, and for every Australian who waited decades for Augusta redemption, Adam Scott delivered something timeless. Not just a win, a legacy.